Hey, what's going on, guys? Alex here, and in this video, I'm going to share my landlord script with you. All right, so landlord, otherwise known as the FRBO, which stands for rent by owner. All right, so keep in mind, I'm not super tech savvy, so as far as sharing this with everyone somehow, I'm not going to do that. Just here it is, word for word. I'll go through each stage, and you can just type this out yourself. Um, there's a lot of scripts out there as well, so there's no one perfect script. This is just something that I've kind of tailored for myself, so I can. It's specifically for wholesaling lease purchase, which I'll explain kind of how I tailored it. Um, okay, let's get started. I've broken it down into 4 different stages, and then I'll also share like resources that have helped me when it comes to uh, talking on the phone, communication, sales skills. Okay. So the first part is the intro part, and just taking some of Grant Cardone's courses. I mean, this is probably the most important part of the call, in my opinion, is to nail the first 20 seconds. You want to nail the first 20 seconds because it's going to dictate the tone and the how serious they take you for the rest of the call. So in the intro phase, um, obviously if you don't already have their name, you want to make sure you get their name in this stage. You want to make sure you get the address in this stage, and you want to make sure you kind of position yourself as the investor, right? The whole purpose, the outcome of this stage is to get permission to ask questions and put yourself in a position where, hey, I'm interested in potentially buying your house. I'm and I just had some questions about it to see if I'm a good fit. Okay, so that's really the purpose of this stage, and I just had some questions about the house to see if it's a good fit. Okay, and here's a good phrase that I use. So basically, after I know that they're open to renting with an option of purchase, and let me back up a little bit because this is a question that I like to ask on a landlord call right up front, versus a for sale by owner call. I don't really ask this up front most times, and I'll explain why in another video. But for a landlord call, the reason I like to ask it up front is because they're already open to renting their house, right? They're already open to not receiving all of their equity today. So now that I know that, and if I find out by asking this question that they're open to selling, right? Because option of purchase, that they're open to selling, then that means that they are automatically a good candidate for terms because they don't need all their equity out today. They can wait a little bit before they cash out, so to speak. So I asked that up front, and the way I position myself is with this script here, which has worked for me. I basically say, great, well, hey, I'm an investor, and we generally look for nice homes that are in good condition in good areas, and we've offered full retail for homes that have met our criteria. So at this time, with your permission, I just had some questions about the house to see if it's a good fit. Boom, right? What did I do there? I asked them. I told them who I am. I told them the reason I'm calling. I told them what I can do for them. And at this time, with your permission, Mr. Seller, I just had some questions about the house to see if it's even a good fit, right? No commitment or anything. Very non-threatening. So once you get past this stage, and I recommend you practice this stage because it's probably the most important stage. It's going to dictate the rest of the call, and it's going to see who's in control of the call. So after that question, I then lead to my qualification questions. All right, and to back up even more, why use a script? I know some people might say it's not a good idea to use a script. I say in the beginning, if you're just starting out, or even not, like, I mean, I'm still a novice at this. I don't claim I'm like an expert, or I'm a novice at this, clearly, but it's important to have a script. It's important to have a track to run on. At the minimum, it's important to have questions in front of you that you can ask, that you're going to ask, that you're going to need to ask, right? It doesn't make sense not to have this in front of you, even if you're a veteran in the game, right? So that's just my opinion. All right, so the first question I lead off with is usually the condition of the home, right? Because the types of houses that we're looking for, we want good condition, we want good areas, but yeah, you want to get the overall idea as far as if the home needs any repairs, and it also gets the seller talking, right? This is how you build a little rapport, let them talk a little bit, and then transition, because you most likely already know that it's a nice house if you looked at the photos, but you want to transition from here to, is the home occupied? It's either going to be tenant occupied, it's going to be owner occupied, or it's going to be vacant. And if it's vacant, then that's going to tell you that they're probably more motivated now, right? And it's, in terms of motivation as well, I pretty much kind of play that one by ear when it comes to landlords, because obviously, well, a good question to ask a landlord is in terms of their motivation. So if you were open to selling, or since you are open to selling, I mean, what's the reason? You want to ask, you want to find that out, but kind of in a finesse sort of way. So what's a good way I ask it? I basically say, well, so if you did want to sell, what would be the reason for selling? That's pretty much how I do it with landlords. And then obviously that's probably one of the most important questions that you can ask someone, because once if you built rapport and they give you a response that's honest, then you know how to kind of tailor your own benefits and tailor it to solve their problem, right? And that's all we're doing here. We're solving someone's problem. All right, so is the home occupied? Do you have a timeline for when you're looking to have this filled? I mean, I like to ask that. It's not super important, but I want to know how soon they want to fill the house. Maybe they don't want to fill it until months down the line. Who knows? And this is a good question here. In your opinion, what do you think the house would appraise for if we had it appraised today? This is going to give you their opinion of value, right? Followed up with, okay, so what's a range that you're looking to sell your home in, assuming there were no agent commissions, right? So basically, I want to find out what they think their house is worth and what they want to net for it at the end of the day. What do they want to net for it? What would they be happy walking away with at the end of the day? And if this number is higher than the latter, right? So if they tell me, all right, I think it'll price for 600, and then they want to sell for 550, that's pretty much that's usually a good sign. Following this, so this is the mortgage question. Since I'm focused on wholesaling lease options, this isn't as important as if I were to stay in the middle, right? But I still need to know if they're current on their mortgage. I need to know if they have a mortgage. I need to know, generally speaking, if they have some equity they're expecting, because if let's say they owe more on the mortgage than what it's worth, then obviously the buyer is going to need a longer term so that the equity can catch back up when it's time for them to get qualified. So I hope that part makes sense. But the way I ask it is, all right, so how we would structure the remaining terms would depend on any current financing. So can I assume if there's a mortgage on the property, or can I assume that there's a mortgage on the property? And right away, that's going to tell you if, obviously, if they own it free and clear, or if they have a mortgage, and then you want to follow up with, if you want, as far as the equity, like how much equity they might have, and if they're current on the mortgage. That's probably more important when you're wholesaling lease options. All right, so once we've asked our questions, then we go into I like to go into presenting what I do as an investor, what I specialize in, and that's in lease purchase buyers, 3 to 10% down. You guys probably heard from my seller, my live calls. I bring this up a lot, especially on the first call. The reason I bring it up is because they're going to need to know what I do either way, right? If we're going to make this contingent upon finding a buyer and me assigning a buyer over to them, they're going to need to know who that buyer is and kind of the gist of what we do, right? Who we work with. So you could read this word for word, but you've probably already heard the way I do it. Just make sure you let them know that you specialize in lease purchase buyers. You help people get to the finish line. There's 80% of the market that can't qualify for a mortgage today. Only 20% can. You deal with the 80%. They're not all good, but some of them are good. They just need a little time to get approved with the bank, right? And you'll get your cash out within 18 to 24 months, Mr. Seller. In the meantime, they'll take care of it just as if it's their home. All those benefits, you want to make sure you bring those up. And then the close. So with the close, it depends, right? As far as if I'm going to send them options, if I got enough information from the qualification stage, that I'll send them options. If I didn't get enough information, then I'm just going to send them an email with my company information, with my website. If you have a credibility package, send that over. Something that's going to help build a little more trust and a little more confidence, credibility, so that you can follow up on another call and get whatever missing information you didn't get here, and then send the options, and then book an appointment. All right, so that's what we do with the close. You always want to get their email and another good day and time to follow up. So this is an ideal call. That's what an ideal call looks like for me. Again, the stages, you have the introduction. Make sure you nail the first 20 seconds, probably the most important part of the call. Make sure you have your qualifications ready to go that you're going to ask. Have this kind of in your back pocket. Rehearse this over and over again till you word it word. This is pretty much your value proposition. And then your close, which is pretty self-explanatory. All right, so I hope that's helpful. Some resources that have helped me. have been Grant Cardone. I think he's obviously probably one of the best salespeople in the world. But here are some of the programs that I've taken from him. This one has helped me as far as he has scripts, actual scripts in this one here. The rest are don't have to do specifically with scripts. I mean, closing the sale is pretty good. Sales secrets is pretty good. The top sales secret is follow up, by the way. But yeah, so that's a good course. I'll link that. Another good one was Claude Diamond, the gut sales method. The gut sales method, and he pretty much goes over this procedure here. He has agenda, qualify, close, and he has a pretty good audio series too. So, and then he's specific to our industry. He's specific to terms as well. So that's why I recommend Claude. I'll link him as well. I hope this was helpful, guys. Practice, right? Practice each day. Sharpen your skills. If I were you, I'd probably start here and just spend a week, 15 minutes every morning before you make calls, practicing this part here. And then once you get good at this, naturally you can transition into this, have these in front of you all the time, and you want to practice each stage. Just that's the only way you're going to get better. I've been in sales for quite a while. I've been a real estate agent for quite a while. But as far as this business goes, this is completely different than being an agent. So just practice the scripts, and you'll eventually get it. I guess that's it. That's it for this video. Be sure to like, hit subscribe, yada yada yada. Look out for the next one.